Hey guys, we are going to start working in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to start with these little tutorials before we get into a major project. So we're actually going to go out of order a little bit. We're going to start with episode 8. And if we open that in Adobe Illustrator, which is this kind of like brown, yellow icon, you'll notice this little warning pops up, but don't worry about it. Just hit close. So let's talk about the workspace a little bit. We've got a toolbox on the side, which is pretty similar. We're just not ever going to use Illustrator for photos anymore. We're going to use it to more or less illustrate. The big difference between Photoshop and Illustrator is that all of the graphics are made from a series of mathematical equations called vectors. So the cool part about that is that it never gets blurry like a photo would. So we'll talk more about it as time goes on, but I want to get your workspace set up first. The first thing we need to do is go to Window and hit Control. Okay, you'll notice this little bar pops up, and that gives us all of our menu options like we would have in Photoshop. What I want to teach you today is just how to make some basic shapes and how to select colors. Pretty much everything we're doing in Illustrator has to do with shapes that will add up into some kind of illustration. So some of them are really basic. Some of them are going to get more complex, but they'll help teach you a lot of skills. So let's talk about this row first. We're going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm still going to control plus like we would before, which is cool. You can still control minus to zoom out. So that's pretty similar. All right. So our rectangle tool is pretty similar to what we had before in Photoshop. It's just going to be in a different order in my toolbox. Mine happens to be right on top, but if yours isn't on top, maybe you see a circle or something like that. So I've chosen the tool. Now I need to choose some colors. What's different here is you'll notice there's a solid square and there's a frame around it. So that's called fill and stroke, as you can see from the little screen here. So that little leaf design on here is the fill, and then you see it has an outline on it. So I'm going to ask you, I don't care what colors you pick, but I want you to pick two different colors so I can see them. So I'll go with an aqua for my fill. And then if you need to change your stroke, you can just rotate. Actually, you could rotate it if you're oh, I want the black for my fill. And then your stroke, you can either double click on it to get your colors, or sometimes there will be an option to pick out your colors. I'm going to go with a purple. All right, cool. Another option you may like at the top here, it says stroke. I like to make the outline a little bit thicker. So you'll notice that's a thicker stroke. Otherwise, it will probably be standard, really thin like that. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. I don't have a preference for you guys though. All right, so let's get started. In order to make the rectangle, you're literally just going to trace the box. I'm not looking for absolute perfection. I just want to be able to cover up the dotted lines. That's the key of the project. You'll notice it has this red frame around it, and that means that object is selected right now. Now we're going to make it into a square as well. So right here, it's asking for a really specific size. So there's a really easy way to do that. And what I can do is I'll click with my black arrow and click off of that rectangle, so nothing's selected. And then I'm going to use my rectangle again, and I'm just going to click quickly. And you'll see that little line popped up, and it's telling me I'm in the middle of my square, which is great. Okay, I quickly clicked it. I'm going to type in 20 millimeters. 20 millimeters. Okay. All right, great. So all you need to do is use your black arrow, grab the middle somewhere, and drag it over to cover it. So that way it's that exact size. This is pretty much the same size here, but rotated. So there's a really easy way to duplicate in Illustrator. If you hold down your Alt key, I'll select this first, hold down my Alt key, and then you'll see there's two arrows right now, and it duplicates the shape for you. And if I still hover along the side, I can even hold my Shift key, and I'll get that perfect rotation at 90 degrees. Then for this one here, we're going to delete the anchor point. So that means we're going to delete one of these little points, white points at the edge, to make it into a triangle. So I'm going to duplicate this picture of a diamond again, Alt click, drag it over, and then I need to get rid of one of these things. So what I'm going to do is this. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. We had the whole shape selected before. Now I'm going to use my white arrow, and the white arrow is called your direct selection. So that's what we use when we're just dealing with like a little piece of something. So I'm not dealing with the editing the whole diamond. I just need to edit this little guy here. So I'm going to click on that point here with my white arrow. And at the top, you get a bunch of options. And I'm going to hit this little minus anchor point because it's asking me to delete an anchor point. Ta-da! So the goal here is that you have this like triangle shape and it still has the outline around it. So that looks awesome. Very cool. On to our ellipses. I'm going to change the color just so you can see the difference. All right. Cool. Let's do this. So I'm going to look for my circle. I'm going to click and hold my square. And you can see these purple lines show up for me. So I can kind of align with the shape I have. And I'm going to hold my shift key. So that way I have a circle still. Okay. Let's try and save ourselves a little time here. And let's duplicate this circle. So I'm going to click my black arrow. Click on my circle. Alt. Click and drag. Okay. So it's asking me to delete another anchor point. So same story as before. White arrow. I'm going to click over here where it's empty. Hit the delete anchor. Okay, we're close, but it's kind of rounded and funky looking. So you can see this is called a handle. It's kind of like bike handlebars. And I'm going to push my top handle in and try and keep the other handle straight. Okay. If you make a mistake, you can always Control Z to undo, like you would in like Microsoft Word or something. Perfect. If you mess it up, don't worry about it. Undo it and try again. Not a big deal. Cool. So this pretty much looks the same here. So let's use my black arrow, Alt, click, drag it over, and we're going to hover along the outside here and rotate. Oh, I think I copied two. So I'll just click one and delete it. Great. And like I said, just try and cover up your dotted lines, please. Cool. All right, this one is free transform. So we're actually going to start with this same shape again. It's kind of similar to this one, like a capital D. So let's alt click this dude and drag him over and line him up. You can even line it like that too. Okay. So the free transform tool is kind of hidden. We have to go to these dotted dots over here, and it gives you like a ton more choices here. So our free transform is this guy. It's like a picture frame with a arrow on it. So once I click that and I kind of close this box off a little bit here, you'll see this little pop-out menu appears. So it's asking us to perspective distort it, which if I hover is the second one here. And here's where the fun starts. We're going to kind of drag it and adjust it. So I think I need to line it up more here first. Go with my perspective, my free transform, perspective distort, bam, and drag it like that. Okay. So it will distort one side of it for you. So that's exactly what we needed for that one. It's really good for warping shapes because not every illustration you'll make will have a like perfectly shaped element. You may need things that are like slightly warped. So, awesome. We have the second row done. And now we're going to start working on stars. So I'm going to change my color again, mix it up a little bit. Let's go with, we'll go pink. All right, let's do it. So your star tool, click and hold, you'll find your star tool here. It should be set to like your typical 5-point star. So you can kind of rotate it as you go and pull. It's pretty close. We'll use our black arrow to kind of place it on top. And you can enlarge it if you need to. Okay. So when you're working on your next star, you're going to go in and you'll click and drag, but we're not going to let go yet. We're going to use your arrow, like your up arrow on your keyboard, and I'm going to click it 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you'll notice that gave me a lot of prongs, and then I let go of my mouse. Okay, I'm going to redo that again just so you can see it. And now it's going to be set to this 7. So I'm going to undo it for a moment, but I want to play it for you again. So average star, I'm not letting go of my mouse, still holding. And while I hold, I hit the up key 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Awesome. And then I let go and I picked up my black arrow and I can just kind of hover in my corner and rotate it to match up a little bit. Cool. So the up key gives us more arrows and conversely the down key will give us less of those arrowy points. All right, let's make all those points shorter. So I'm going to pull it out here, but now I'm going to hold down the control key because we're on a PC and pull my mouse in towards the middle, and it's going to make all those points a lot shorter. So let's take my black arrow and I can just place it on top here and enlarge it a little bit. I can even hold down my shift key to keep it nice and even. And then hover on the corner, rotate it to cover up all my dotted lines like that. Okay. I'll go over it one more time for us because I know that's confusing. So this is where we started. Okay. I'm going to hold down my control key. I'm holding and I'm pulling my mouse outward like that to get my points shorter. Let go. Use my black arrow and move it over. All right. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to type in specific parameters of my star here, and then I'm going to use free transform again. So I'll select my star and I'm just going to click quickly and I'm going to type in all of this information it's asking. Okay, so it's 20 millimeters and 10 millimeters. And then underneath it says 5 points, even though that box is covering a little bit. And that gives us our average star there. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is use free transform mode again. So we go to the 3 little dots here, scroll down to free transform, click off of it, and then you're going to look for the one that says free transform mode, which is the top. And you're going to warp it a little bit. So what you need to do is you've got all these corners and all these adjustments. So you can push these different parts down, tilt it a little bit too. I find you can even go in, and if you want to for this one, I think it should be free distort. I feel like that one was incorrect, but don't worry about it. So the idea is I just want to see something relatively distorted like this. So I know it said free transform mode, but they really mean free distort. And you could go in and just match this. I know it's not going to be perfect. I'm not looking for absolute perfection, but I'm looking for you to get close to it, where this side is a lot longer and this side is a little bit more average. Okay. All right, awesome. Very good. Now our star row is done. All right, let's try it about polygons. So these are just more of our general geometric shapes. Our polygon tool is hidden in here as well. I'm going to change up my colors for this row as well. All right, so standard, it's going to make it into a hexagon here, which is 6 sides. So I'll just pull it, adjust it as you need. Now, if I want to make it into a triangle, I need to remove 3 of those sides. So I'm going to press down 3 times. So I'm not letting go, and I'm holding, pressing down 3 times, and now I get my triangle. Use my black arrow to drag. Okay. Now I need it to be 5 sides, a pentagon. So I'm going to click and drag, don't let go, hit up 2 times to get my 5 sides. Good. Let go. Black arrow, drag it and cover it up. Good. All right, this one we're going to do manually. So I'm going to click on my polygon tool again, try and get in the middle and click. It says it wants the radius to be 15 millimeters, 15, and it wants you to have 10 sides. Press OK. And there you go. It makes the shape for you. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about the last shape here, the last rows of rounded rectangle. Change our color up a little bit, pick something else, and we're almost done. Go with blue. All right. So you'll notice I have a rounded rectangle here. You probably do not in your set of Illustrator. So the idea is that used to be there, and then when they updated it, they put it in like the extra tools. So you would go down to your three dots here, and then scroll to the tippy top for your rounded rectangle. And you could even drag it over here into your toolbox so it appears forever for you. So at that point, you can just start with your standard version. Okay. And then in order to make your corners a little less curved, you can try and line it up here where these purple lines intersect with the edges. And I'm not going to let go. I'm still holding my mouse down, and I'm going to press and hold up. I know it's not very drastic in the beginning, but I'm hitting the up key on my keyboard, and then I was hitting down because I think I curved my corners a little too much there. Okay, so right about there looks about good. Now I let go of my mouse. So you can like adjust the roundedness of each portion of it. The last one is just typing it in manually. So we'll try and find the middle, especially where it's the center or close to it. Again, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, just in the ballpark. 65 millimeters, height 7 millimeters, radius 35 millimeters. Perfect. Use my black arrow and drag it over. So at the end, what I'm looking for is, again, they just have to have a stroke around them. I don't really care so much about the colors so much. But as long as I can see it has a different color stroke and a different color fill, and that you've covered up most of the dotted lines and have just gotten in the ballpark of the shape that was already demonstrated. That's about it. When you're done, you can please save it and please upload it to Classroom.